Module 2, Common Techniques of Psychological Manipulation. Psychological manipulation is a complex and often insidious process that can lead individuals to act against their best interests, beliefs, or values. Understanding the various techniques used in manipulation can empower individuals to recognize and combat these tactics, fostering healthier interactions and relationships. This module will explore several common manipulation techniques, providing definitions, identifying signs, offering examples, and discussing their implications in personal and professional contexts. 2.1 Gaslighting. Definition. Gaslighting is a psychological tactic that causes individuals to question their reality, memories, or perceptions. It is named after the 1944 film Gaslight, in which a husband manipulates his wife into doubting her sanity. Gaslighting can occur in various relationships, including romantic partnerships, friendships, family dynamics, and professional environments. The manipulator seeks to gain power and control by making the victim feel confused, anxious, and insecure about their thoughts and feelings. Signs of gaslighting. Recognizing gaslighting can be challenging, especially when it occurs over an extended period. However, several signs can indicate that someone is being gaslit. 1. Denial. The manipulator consistently denies events, conversations, or feelings that the victim remembers clearly. This denial can lead the victim to doubt their memory and perceptions. 2. Blame shifting. The gaslighter often shifts blame onto the victim, making them feel responsible for the manipulator's actions or feelings. This tactic can create a cycle of guilt and self-doubt. 3. Dismissive behavior. The manipulator may dismiss the victim's feelings or concerns as irrational or exaggerated. This can lead the victim to question their emotional responses and validity. 4. Confusion and self-doubt. As the gaslighting progresses, the victim may experience confusion and self-doubt, feeling uncertain about their thoughts and perceptions. Example of gaslighting. Imagine a scenario in which a partner insists that a conversation about a significant issue never occurred. For instance, a woman recalls discussing her partner's lack of communication about their finances. When she brings it up, her partner vehemently denies that the conversation took place, insisting that she must have imagined it. Over time, the woman begins to question her memory and whether she is indeed overreacting or being too sensitive. This manipulation can lead her to feel insecure about her perceptions and ultimately question her sanity. Implications of gaslighting. Gaslighting can have severe emotional and psychological consequences for victims. It can lead to anxiety, depression, and a diminished sense of self-worth. Victims may become isolated, fearing that they cannot trust their reality or perceptions. Recognizing gaslighting is crucial for individuals to protect themselves from this form of manipulation and to seek support when necessary. 2.2 Guilt tripping. Definition. Guilt tripping is a manipulation technique that involves inducing feelings of guilt to control someone's actions or decisions. The manipulator may use guilt to evoke a sense of obligation or responsibility, often leading the victim to conform to the manipulator's desires. This tactic can be particularly effective in close relationships where emotional bonds create a sense of duty or loyalty. Signs of guilt tripping. Identifying guilt tripping can be challenging, especially when it is framed as a harmless expression of feelings. However, several signs can indicate that someone is being guilt-tripped. 1. Emotional appeals. The manipulator may make statements that evoke feelings of guilt, often framing their needs or desires in a way that makes the victim feel responsible for their happiness. 2. Obligation statements. The manipulator may use phrases like "if you really cared about me," or "after everything I've done for you," to create a sense of obligation. 3. Victim mentality. The manipulator often portrays themselves as the victim, emphasizing their suffering or distress to elicit sympathy and guilt from the victim. For conditional love, guilt trippers may suggest that their love or approval is contingent upon the victim's compliance with their requests or desires. Example of guilt tripping. Consider a scenario in which a friend asks for help moving to a new apartment. When the victim expresses hesitation due to prior commitments, the friend responds with, "If you really cared about me, you would help me. I thought we were close." This statement attempts to manipulate the victim's emotions, eliciting guilt for prioritizing their own commitments over the friend's needs. Implications of guilt tripping. Guilt tripping can foster resentment and strain relationships over time. Victims may feel manipulated and become increasingly reluctant to express their needs or boundaries. This cycle can lead to a toxic dynamic where one party consistently seeks to control the other through guilt. Recognizing this manipulation technique is essential for maintaining healthy relationships and establishing boundaries. 2.3 Love bombing. Definition. Love bombing is a manipulation technique characterized by overwhelming someone with affection, attention, and gifts to gain control or influence over them. This tactic is often employed in the early stages of a relationship, creating a sense of dependency and attachment. While love is a natural and positive aspect of relationships, when it is used manipulatively, it can lead to emotional exploitation. Signs of love bombing. Recognizing love bombing can be challenging, especially when it feels flattering or desirable. However, several signs can indicate that someone is being love bombed. 1. Excessive compliments. The manipulator may shower the victim with compliments and admiration, often to an exaggerated degree, which can create a sense of euphoria. 2. Gifts and gestures. Love bombers often present lavish gifts or engage in grand gestures of affection, which can create feelings of obligation and gratitude. 3. Intense communication. The manipulator may engage in frequent, intense communication, often overwhelming the victim with messages, calls, or attention. 4. Speed of the relationship. Relationships marked by love bombing often progress rapidly, with the manipulator pushing for commitment or intimacy before the victim is ready. Example of love bombing. Imagine a situation in which a new partner begins to shower the victim with gifts, constant affectionate messages, and frequent declarations of love within the first few weeks of dating. The partner may express that they have never felt this way about anyone else and that they are ready for a serious commitment. While this attention may initially feel exciting, it can quickly become overwhelming and create a sense of dependency on the partner's affection. Implications of love bombing. Love bombing can lead to unhealthy dynamics in relationships, as the victim may become reliant on the manipulator for validation and emotional support. It can also create an imbalance of power, as the manipulator uses affection to control the victim's emotions and decisions. Recognizing love bombing is essential for establishing healthy boundaries and fostering balanced relationships. 2.4 Fear-based manipulation. Definition. Fear-based manipulation involves using fear to control or influence behavior. This tactic often relies on threats, intimidation, or the creation of a sense of urgency to compel individuals to comply with demands. Manipulators may leverage the victim's fears, anxieties, or insecurities to exert control. Signs of fear-based manipulation. Identifying fear-based manipulation can be crucial for protecting oneself from coercion. Several signs can indicate that someone is being manipulated through fear. 1. Threats. The manipulator may issue explicit or implicit threats, suggesting negative consequences if the victim does not comply with their demands. 2. Intimidation. Fear-based manipulators may use aggressive behavior, tone, or body language to instill fear and compel compliance. 3. Urgency. The manipulator may create a false sense of urgency, insisting that immediate action is necessary to avoid negative outcomes. 4. Playing on vulnerabilities. Fear-based manipulators often exploit the victim's insecurities or fears, making them feel powerless or trapped. Example of fear-based manipulation. Consider a scenario in which a boss threatens an employee with job loss if they do not meet unreasonable performance expectations. The boss may say, "If you don't finish this project by the end of the week, we will have to reconsider your position here." This statement creates a sense of fear and urgency, compelling the employee to comply with the unreasonable demands to avoid the perceived threat of job loss. Implications of fear-based manipulation. Fear-based manipulation can lead to significant stress, anxiety, and burnout for victims. It can create a toxic environment, whether in personal relationships or workplaces, where individuals feel compelled to act against their best interests out of fear of negative consequences. Recognizing this manipulation technique is essential for maintaining mental well-being and fostering healthy dynamics. 2.5 The foot in the door technique. Definition. The foot in the door technique is a psychological phenomenon where a manipulator gains compliance with a small request to increase the likelihood of agreeing to a larger request later. This technique relies on the principle of consistency, where individuals are more likely to comply with larger requests after initially agreeing to smaller ones. Signs of the foot in the door technique. Recognizing the foot in the door technique can help individuals avoid being manipulated. Several signs can indicate that someone is using this tactic. 1. Gradual escalation of requests. The manipulator starts with a small, seemingly innocuous request before gradually increasing the demands. 2. Appeals to consistency. The manipulator may emphasize the importance of being consistent in their actions or beliefs when asking for larger commitments. 3. Reluctance to refuse. Once the victim has agreed to the initial request, they may feel pressured to comply with subsequent requests to avoid appearing inconsistent. Example of the foot in the door technique. Imagine a scenario in which a salesperson first asks a potential customer to fill out a brief survey about their shopping habits. Once the customer agrees to this small request, the salesperson may follow up with a pitch for a more expensive product or service, framing it as a natural progression from the initial request. Implications of the foot in the door technique. The foot in the door technique can lead individuals to make commitments they might not have agreed to initially, resulting in feelings of regret or resentment. Recognizing this tactic can empower individuals to set boundaries and make informed decisions about their commitments. 2.6 The scarcity principle. Definition. The scarcity principle is a manipulation technique that creates a perception of limited availability to increase desire. This tactic relies on the idea that people place a higher value on things that are perceived as scarce or in short supply. Marketers and manipulators often use this principle to compel individuals to act quickly or make impulsive decisions. Signs of the scarcity principle. Identifying the scarcity principle can help individuals avoid being manipulated through urgency or fear of missing out. Several signs can indicate that someone is using this tactic. 1. Claims of limited availability. The manipulator may make statements like "only a few left" or "limited time offer" to create a sense of urgency. 2. Countdown timers. Marketers may use countdown timers on websites or advertisements to amplify the perception of urgency. 3. Fear of missing out. FOMO. The manipulator may evoke feelings of FOMO, suggesting that failing to act quickly will result in missed opportunities. Example of the scarcity principle. Consider a scenario in which a marketer advertises a special sale with a limited quantity of a popular product. The advertisement states, "Only 10 items left in stock. Order now before they're gone." This tactic creates a sense of urgency, compelling potential customers to make quick purchasing decisions due to the fear of missing out. Implications of the scarcity principle. The scarcity principle can lead to impulsive decision-making and buyer's remorse, as individuals may act against their better judgment in response to perceived urgency. Recognizing this manipulation technique is essential for maintaining autonomy in decision-making and making informed choices. Conclusion: understanding common techniques of psychological manipulation is crucial for recognizing and combating these tactics in everyday interactions. By familiarizing ourselves with techniques such as gaslighting, guilt-tripping, love bombing, fear-based manipulation, the foot-in-the-door technique, and the scarcity principle, we can cultivate healthier relationships and protect ourselves from emotional exploitation. As we move forward in this course, we will explore strategies for recognizing and resisting manipulation, fostering resilience, and promoting healthy communication in our personal and professional lives. Recognizing these techniques is not just about protecting oneself, it is also about fostering empathy and understanding in our interactions with others, creating a more supportive and respectful environment for all.